excerpts from the winning screenplay, and I was going to introduce Austin Savage to talk to you a little bit more about what you're going to hear and see. Please remember to silence your phones during the performance. And without a doubt, Austin Savage.
Thank you, Drew. Hello, everybody. Thank you so much for coming. So second year doing this, we're changing formats a little bit in terms of what we're going to do is excerpts from the piece, hopefully with a little time left over for just some feedback, particularly from the readers to the writer, as well as some questions. The writer has agreed to take questions from the audience, but I'll go ahead and kind of run that at the end. These selections were picked basically because screenplays ideally have a driving action, things that engage audience and such and such. So these selections were picked for, these excerpts were picked for how they drive this particular script forward. Every piece has its own kind of unique engine and setup. So, as our cast is moving forward, to the next excerpt, I'll talk a little bit about why this particular batch of pages was picked and what we're looking for as a script reader and performer in a text. So Carrie Silva, who is with us, is the writer. So she managed to have an engine that drove forward to the point that it won first place. So we're just going to discuss why her engine works, or at least works number one for this particular competition. Right? So with that being said, we're going to open with the opening. Makes a lot of sense. Essentially, all you're looking for in any kind of opening is really two basic elements. You want to establish, right? You want to establish the world of the screenplay. Let the audience in on the universe. And the second major goal, actually probably the primary major goal, is you want to establish your protagonist, who is your carrier of the action. You don't use good guy, bad guy, or anything of that, right? Go with the Greek term, carrier of the action. And we see them in their stasis. Essentially any story, good story at least, begins with our protagonist instead of stasis, and then something interrupts their stasis and changes their life. Dorothy Gale, farm girl, tornado, right? Luke Skywalker, farm boy, robot falls from the sky. Any farm kid, whatever. By the way, those interested, afterwards I'll tell you all about how Wizard of Oz is really just Star Wars in space. Cool. So we're going to take a look at the opening here of The Best Dive in the 915. We have our readers. Do everyone want to just do a quick, my name is...
Sure. Into the mic or...
Check if you can.
Hi, how's it going? My name is Mira Rajera.
Well, my name is Roland Esparza.
My name is Nicole Hartgrove.
I'm Brad Thomason.
And I'm Laura.
Cool. Yeah, it's one word, like share or Bono. Cool. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and get started. This is the opening 8 pages of Best Dive in the 915 by Carrie Silva.
Quill on the outskirts of the West Texas town of El Paso sat a beloved dive full of metal, laughter, and misfits. This humble corner became affectionately known as the Brass, and formerly as the Brass Ass. Interior Brass Ass, 3 a.m. On a crisp night, Kate, a tall, beautiful blonde dressed in black miniskirt and white tank, is closing up Marlowe.
Truth. What is your nature? And why do you hurt us so?
She flips a switch. It turns off the neon rifle sign.
Can you show us who and what we really are? Do you care?
She looks through a handful of mail as she walks outside.
Or are you nothing but smoke and mirrors, illusions, distractions?
She locks the door and finds an 8x4 cardboard cutout with a return address from Seattle. She turns
Is that why we're all stuck in this miserable prison of hope? Why is everyone so fucking optimistic?
The word lies is ominously framed inside a pair of scarlet lips surrounded by scattered color. Her eyes widen and she gasps to cover her mouth.
Lies. Lies, lies. Keeping us comfortable. Lies. Numbing the pain. Glass halved fool.
She laughed. It's just Ted being Ted. Interior bar in Seattle, early morning. We see Ted, 5'9", with glasses, sitting alone at the bar. He's talking to himself in a trance-like state, clutching a whiskey with his hair askew.
Clinging to our fragile egos and sorry identities. What the fuck are... Tell me, truth. I demand answers.
He slams his fist on the bar top.
Now, motherfucker!
Across from him is a thin, tatted blonde with a lip piercing, staring at him with nonchalance. She is the bartender.
Nothing personal, but take your truth with you and get out of my bar. I can't have you violating my customer safe space like that.
Nothing personal. Really.
Ted looks to his left and sees everyone at the bar looking up from their phones just to stare at him with disgust, including Patron, a young woman with dreads, and the bouncer, a rough-looking fellow with a tattoo sleeve and a white beard.
Everything is personal.
Patron puts his hands in front of her to signal her for healthy boundaries to be reestablished. She breathes deeply.
Please don't trigger me.
Well, I don't have a gun. What are you people talking about? Safe space.
Whoa. You people. Now you're violating my safe space.
Nobody violates your safe space.
There is no truth in your safe space.
With one knock on the bartender, the bouncer grabs Ted's arm and begins to escort him outside.
Lies! Lies! You are full of lies, rabid, nasty, dirty lies.
The bouncer gets rougher as Ted actually.
You sad sort of little Seattleites. Seattle lies. Ah!
They reach the door.
I see through you, Seattle. Lie!
Do us all a favor, man, and just go back home to Texas.
Texas? Ah, I'm from El Chuco, eh? And you're nothing but a Brooks satellite, woke to Seattle light. Ah!
The bouncer nods his head and slams the door. Interior brass house night. We see the cardboard cutout hanging on the back wall with the address from Seattle showing. Katie is bartending with loud metal music playing from the jukebox. In walks a young, naive brunette, Christina. Behind her is her friend, Anna, who is taller and less inhibited.
What can I get for you?
Anna looks to Christina, who is taking in her surroundings. We'll take a shot.
Christina nods no.
Come on, we made big tonight. Let's live a little.
We have $1 on special.
Hear that? We'll take two, and one for you.
What is this place?
Christina's POV, a wide panning shot of the bar with Pantera's Walk playing from the jukebox.
This, my friend, is the best dive bar in the 915.
A man with long dark hair, a mustache, and beady brown eyes lifts his head. He goes by Psycho. Damn right it's the best bar in the 915.
Let's get this man a shot too.
You see 4 highball glasses joining together and then widening out to see Psycho, Kate, Anna, and Christina taking their shots. Again and again.
So, what do you think?
We see an extreme close-up of Christina's made-of-colored eyes. She looks left. She spots the bartender stickers on the fridge. She looks right to an old jukebox. She looks down. She sees the beat-up bar top, scribbled with graffiti. She looks up.
I think I love it here.
Interior, brass ass, behind the bar, continues. As Kate looks over some paperwork, Psycho approaches from the patron side of the bar top. Any word who's going to replace Alice?
Nope.
Psycho glances over to Anna and Christina. How about her? The other one. Kate looks at the women laughing over anecdotes.
You can't be serious. That preppy cheerleader over there?
Could be interesting. Kate glances down at the paperwork, then back at Christina. She considers her options, makes up her mind, and walks over.
Hey, Christina, right? How would you like to work?
Me?
Kate nods yes.
Okay, when do I start?
Psycho puts on a darkly sinister smile. Awesome. So, good. We're gonna stop there. So that's basically it. We're moving on to page 24 to 31, everyone. So yeah, that was the opening, Best Dive 915. We see protagonists and their status change. So, well done. First step of redemption movement. Cool. So this next scene was selected. This is commonly called a threshold moment. Joseph Campbell. We're not going to get too academic with it, but basically what you're looking at here is the idea that your protagonists have their world slightly altered, right? Whether it's a tornado or the robot falling from the sky, but at a certain point they can still revert back to their previous life, right? They can still, blah, 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 and something tips them forward. It's commonly called the point of no return. This is our point of no return, again for Best Dive in 915, our actor set. Cool. Yeah, I do want to say this, last year we did this, put together a motley group, like 6 in this room, so like, we did it, read together, and I was like, sure, put together like 6, and then the winner was decided and announced, and it's like 90 persons ensemble. So stick with us. Awesome. 24 through 31. Interior
glass house left side of bar continues. Christina goes back to the register to mark Kate's tab. Matt calls her over.
You know what? Just in case, I want you to have my number.
But I thought you said Tuesdays are.
Yeah, I know what I said, but I would hate for something to happen.
He reaches for a server's pad and writes it down.
You know, you really don't have to do that.
No, I insist. Things can get out of hand, and sometimes I just don't want you having to call the cops.
I can handle myself.
And that, I believe, I only live a few minutes from here, and I'm up all night anyway.
Christina smiles politely as Matt hands her his dividends.
Anything happens at all, you call me.
That's very sweet of you.
He winks before turning to leave. She cringes.
girlie, I love my brother Matt,
I can see that.
but he ain't no Rico Suave, you know what I'm saying? Still, man does have a way of, growing on you. We'll see.
Interior brass asks night later. The bar is empty and quiet. Christina is restless and looking for something to do. A very drunk and disturbed Ted walks in.
Hi, can I get you a... Are you okay?
Ted's hair is messy as he walks up to the jukebox.
Where is it?
Funny, I was beginning to wonder the same thing. Then you showed up.
Ted begins to play a perfect circle through their list. He sings along to the lyrics, mumbling when he can't remember.
Through you, through the obvious city, flow with it on your back, nay.
A very polite and neat Christina approaches.
Would you like some water?
And you don't see me.
Ted acts out theatrically. Christina slowly retreats back to her bar without turning her back on Ted. She seldom blinks. Ted mumbles bits of conversation to the bar stools and starts throwing them, one by one to the ground. Make a loud, copious clamor. Some of the joints loosen. Christina searches frantically for Matt's number. Interior Matt's apartment. Matt is watching a game show on his couch, answering the questions out loud despite being alone. His phone rings.
Hello?
Matt?
Oh, hey, Christina. Everything okay?
Christina is squatting on the floor while talking on the phone. She carefully peeks over the bar as Ted asks.
There's some guy here and he's attacking the bar stools. Can you come by?
Matt hears Ted's erratic over the phone.
You don't see me. You don't.
Teddy!
A white-eyed Christina observes the old friend leaving.
Where the fuck have you been?
Seattle? Where else?
How's that art project going?
Did you get the cutout I sent?
Christina sees the postmark cardboard hanging on the wall.
Nah, I didn't.
The two men begin reassembling the bar stools. Christina turns the address side over and sees the lies design. She's thoroughly freaked out.
Sorry about earlier. I guess I'm kind of working through some stuff.
Uh-huh.
This guy is one of my oldest friends in the world.
Christina looks skeptical.
I know, he's totally insane, but he's really not at all that bad.
Who's this?
This is Christina. Isn't she pretty?
If I say yes, will she serve me something other than water?
Matt and Ted look at Christina with high hope. Interior brass glass night later. We see empty high wall glasses and empty beers. Christina and Matt laugh as Ted tries to fix his hair.
Is it closing time already?
Wow, that went by fast.
Ted pulls out his wallet.
What's the damage?
Christina hands them each their tabs. Ted pulls out a couple 20s. Matt hands his debit card. She charges them at the register. She returns a 10 with an obvious blue dot hidden in the corner and a $1 bill. Ted carelessly stuffs them into his wallet. A fade to black. The sound of the fade to black. Relapse. The sound of the register running. Begin montage. Sped up time lapse of a construction site. Slow motion night cut at the brass Aspen Beverly. Sped up time lapse of commuters going to and fro. A snake poised to attack. The hopeless girl lying dead on a stretcher. She blinks her eyes. Ends montage. Ted wakes up gasping for air. Jack, Bethel, and Sam are up to their regular routine. Candy is bartending. Ted walks in and sits next to Sam.
Well, if it ain't a Washingtonian.
Good to see you too, Sam.
Candy, Bethel, and Jack gravitate toward Ted, exchanging glances.
I was starting to think that city swallowed you whole. Welcome back.
Bethel and Ted hug. Jack pats his arm.
Whatever he wants. My tab.
That's nice of you, Jack.
Jack nods.
15 years on O's drink.
Candy walks up and gives Ted and Jack a coat.
So good to be back. I missed you, all of you. How is everybody?
Let's see. Kate's out doing herself planning the anniversary party.
Big surprise there.
Alice is living with her beau in Berlin. Joe and Frank are, keeping the peace, and Psycho's, well, Psycho's fucking Psycho.
How's Rodney?
He's good. He was here a couple nights ago, pissing everybody off. It's Purple Rain. Your mom does.
Indeed. You have my sympathy.
Candy huddles together with them for a sentimental moment.
It's not every day we get to be all together like this. And life is so short. I guess what I'm trying to say is, shots.
We see a group of shots poured out. Candy, Ted, Bethel, Sam, and Jack share their glasses and take the shots together.
Look at this round.
Ted pulls out the bills from the night before and places them on the bar top. He does not notice the blue bill.
Ted, when did you get us to town?
Last week. I came in to say hi, but nobody was here except some new girl.
So you met Christina. I guess she's still new to you. What'd you think?
Ted takes another glance at his bills and sees them all.
You know what I heard? I heard Max got it pretty bad for her. Is that so?
Ted tunes out the gossip as Candy, Jack, and Sam indulge her. We hear mumbling in the background as he sees the blue mark, slowly realizing his beloved dog is being saved now. Ted abruptly stands up with the bill in his hand and examines it closely, adjusting his glasses. The others stop their achievement and look at Ted with curiosity.
You alright?
You see that? Look,
Everyone looks over, unsure of what he's talking about.
look, that blue dot, you see?
Ted points at the corner, adamantly in front of Bethel.
It looks like a ballpoint.
No, no. It's a mark.
Ted, those ungodly liberals do to you? Did they give you some bad dope?
What? No, it's development. Don't you see? They marked the money. Look, I was here last night drinking with what's her name, Christina and Matt. He was there. I'm not crazy.
Sam mounts over to Jack, bad dope. Jack and Bethel nod.
It's okay, Ted. The process has been around for years. It's never shut down. Only the place.
Candy squints to look at the bill.
That's nothing. Just a dot is all.
No, Candace, listen to me. Something's very wrong here.
Candy looks him
I have to figure this all out. I'll be back later, okay?
Now I was paying for these shots.
Damn it, tell those hippies in their shape though.
End of Act 1.
There was much rejoicing. Cool. Excellent. So we're gonna move on. We're gonna move on to the midpoint. So for our readers, 45 to 49. Correct. We'll remember this time when we get there. Yeah, just to briefly address. Obviously, our as mentioned before, our characters have advanced. You know, there's a mysterious blue dot. Characters are meeting. Ted is meeting Christina for the first time. Matt is pursuing, Christina romantically. What we look for often at the midpoint, again, somewhat reverting to Joseph Campbell and strong screenplay structure, is this is a sequence that is often referred to as the mother's arms. And this is just a point in the narrative where things get a little more complicated. Some people refer to it as the rising action and such. But again, we'll discuss all this a little more at the end. Just trying to keep you guys afloat as we move passing over big chunks of this story. So, are we all set, readers? 45 to 49. Correct?
46.
Oh. Sorry. Was it 44 to 46?
46.
46. 46. Apologies. My writing is terrible. Okay. All right. I'm all set here.
Interior brass ass inner cut. Candy and Christina are behind the bar. Ringo sips his Guinness.
There's something I need to tell you about Ted. Yeah? What's that?
Interior Joe's living room. Joe turns on the pregame show. The Cowboys are playing. Joe, Frank, and Ted are watching it.
And everyone wants to know what's going on with you.
Whatever it is, it feels like it's getting worse. Does this have to do anything with that chick who died in the back when you were EMT?
Ted is visibly triggered by Frank's
Come on,
comment.
Frank.
What? You can tell us. We're here for you, Teddy.
Interior brass ass continuous.
We all went to high school together at La Java. It was Ava. She was my best friend.
She looks away to hide her tearing eyes and forces a smile. Ted's hands tremble as he puts his beer down. He looks at the floor with sorrow in his eyes.
Ted,
He places his hand on his shoulder for support. Ted pushes it off the rope.
Don't touch me.
He stands up and starts holding himself in a desperate effort to self-soothe. He begins to mourn. Interior brass house continues.
I'll never forget the first time she got to me.
I don't get it, man. You wanted to be an EMT, like what? Did you think that you'd never ever see a dead chick?
Frank comes to a realization. A beat.
Ted, who was she?
Ted nods no and then mouths, "I can't."
Yes, you can.
Interior brass house continues. Close up on Christina covering her mouth.
She was my everything. My whole fucking world gone, just like that. Like we never even met.
You see Candy out of focus walking out behind Christina. We hear Ted mourn. Medium shot of Joe and Frank's reactions. They're shocked.
She needed me. She needed me to take care of her, but we had just broken up. There she was. I saw her there, and I couldn't do anything. Not a damn thing.
Oh, shit, I had no idea.
She wanted to marry me. She trusted me, and I just let her die. I just let her fucking die.
Ted falls to the ground. Frank runs to him and holds him in his arms. Joe follows and wraps his arms around them both. Wide shot of the three men on the floor together. The sound of the football game drowns his cries.
Ooh.
Continue on here.
Interior brass house continues. Close up of Christina, saying
I'll use it in a sentence. You used to be my best friend, pero you lied to me. Ay.
I'm sorry. I'll be right back.
Wait, hey, come on, my joke wasn't that bad, was it?
8 to block.
Yay, much rejoicing. Cool. Moving on, 77, 78. I've already referenced Joseph Campbell a couple times here, but I don't know how many of you are familiar with Dan Harmon. He's another really great writer. Started out as a screenplay writer, but he wrote a classic piece of cinema called Monster House, and then he moved into television with things like The Sarah Silverman Show, and then Community, and Rick and Morty. Anywho, he has an interesting approach to writing, where he uses a wheel system. One of my favorite things he's written about it is right around this step, which a lot of people again who follow a traditional Campbell model. It's often referred to again as a second midpoint or a rising action. Dan Harmon likes to call it the twist and twist hard, which I think is super cool. So as we were reading through this and as I was kind of putting the reading together, it's always nice when you turn a page and something happens and then you can legit say, oh damn. So, small spoiler alert, we're giving you a twist hard. Cool. All right, 77 to 78, whenever you're ready.
Act 3, interior, police station, day. We see Gringo talking to the police sergeant.
I can't keep this up, Sarge. My cover won't hold.
I know, that's why I'm assembling a team. They're being briefed now.
What about Alvarez?
In too deep to secure contact. Haven't heard so much as a peep in the past 24.
They need to know what's happening. We can't just abandon one of our own like that.
We don't have any more options at this point. The risk to the public is too high to let this play out.
God damn it.
In a rage of fury, he throws a chair to the ground.
This operation is so fucking fucked.
Interior, Matt's bedroom, later. Christina and Matt in the bed staring at the ceiling. Both have a look of confusion painted on their faces.
An actual I'm wet.
It's what he said after. I should have killed you when I had the chance.
What the fuck does that mean?
They stare at the ceiling for a moment more.
Can I ask you something?
Anything.
What happened to the bartender I replaced? Alice, right?
Yeah, fell in love with a soldier named Hans and got hitched. They're living in Berlin, happily ever after. I mean, that's the last I heard.
Huh.
That's it. We'll stop there. Sweet but brief. I really do appreciate the fact that, again, we've been twist and twist hard. The same guy who tells that horrible Trudai joke is obviously an undercover cop. And my favorite, as Roland said when he encountered this moment, is Matt did it, that son of a bitch. So well done, Matt. He got his girl, right? So moving on to 86, 90, which is our build towards the climax. Okay. Is that right? 86, 90? Yep, all right. Found it.
Interior brass house. Behind the bar. Top continuous. Christina, Kate, and Candy are behind the bar taking orders and serving drinks. Loud metal music plays in the background. The same random stranger from earlier walks up to Christina. He tries to tell her something, but she can't hear. She moves in closer to his face to hear him speak.
I know you from somewhere,
I've never seen you before.
but I've been watching you. And you were never a trooper, Ed.
He pulls out a gun and points it at her face.
Agent Alvarez!
She puts her hands up and slowly backs away, maintaining eye contact. Everyone else is lost in the music he drinks. Katie is mixing shots.
Christina, can you hand me the Jaeger?
Christina doesn't respond.
Christina! What
kind of pale.
We're friends, right?
Frank's breathing gets heavier.
Yeah, back boys.
What's up? There's something I have to tell you. I am.
Frank looks over and sees a gun pointed at Christina. His eyes roll into the back of his head and he falls to the ground.
Frank? Help! Somebody help!
Gringo sees his partner in danger and shoots the jukebox several times with his 9mm standard issue. The music stops immediately. The chaos causes the crowd to scream and stampede out of the bar, except for a few loyal ones who aren't going anywhere. Joe, Frank, Psycho, Sam, Jack, Beto, Alice, Matt, and Rodney. Gringo points his gun at a short distance from the stranger's temple. Matt watches, but cannot comprehend what's unfolding.
Get your dirty barrel out of my partner's face!
Candy is shaking in fear. Kate doesn't move. Joe is still screaming for someone to help. Ted's instincts kick in.
Partner? Partner? What are you talking about?
Christina looks at him as though she has something to say. Before she can say it, Joe screams out.
Somebody help me! Frank's not moving, he's not... Jesus, he's not breathing!
Beto begins to pray openly. Sam and Jack are shocked, but lay their hands on Beto. Psycho continues eating cake with his eyes wide open. Ted rushes over to Joe and Frank, knowing he's unable to begin chest compression.
Check his pulse.
Joe is too freaked out to act. Alice is crying on the floor across him. Kate rushes over. Rodney checks Frank's neck.
I don't feel anything.
Begin chest compression. Stat.
Rodney pushes Joe out of the way and starts compressions on his stomach instead of his chest.
No, higher.
Rodney places his hands across.
Like this?
Yes, faster.
Like this?
No, go to the beat of Staying Alive, okay? Does anybody know that song?
No one at the bar knows that song.
But you can tell, no time to talk.
The entire bar begins singing along with them, mumbling when they lose the lyrics, but keeping tune nonetheless. The stranger is threatened by their strong solidarity.
Shut the fuck up! All of you, shut your dumb shithead mouth! Shut the...
In the brief moment, he's distracted. Gringo shoots him mercilessly through the temple. Everyone singing falls into silent terror. Gringo speaks into a hidden microphone.
Mexican word of the day, Bishop.
Interior police SWAT vehicle. Continuous. Bishop team commander is wearing all black.
Bishop confirmed, ETA 8.
Interior brass house behind the bar top. Continuous.
About time we picked that bitch up.
She pulls out her 9mm from the hidden strap behind her right calf. Matt watches in complete disbelief. Gringo watches Frank receive CPR. He radios back in.
Civilian down, requesting medic stat, secure perimeter requested.
10-4, medic requested. Perimeter secure request acknowledged.
Gringo nods at Christina.
Let's go hunting.
She excitedly loads her gun.
Who are you?
She gives him the briefest look of remorse before redirecting her attention to Gringo.
Bishop over, suspect in pursuit.
Gringo looks over and sees fear and disbelief.
What happened? Come on, Frank needs you. Sing! Sing, guys!
The singing begins again, only far weaker than before. Guns drawn, Christina and Gringo leave to go find Judith. Interior brass house men's bathroom continues. Right of the bathroom stall being kicked in. On the other side are Christina and Gringo, guns drawn.
Know you're in here.
Come out wherever you are.
Judas is hiding in a bathroom stall corner. He has a gun, drawn with a stack of large cash stuffed inside his hands. He shoots out the lights, making it hard to see.
We'll stop there so we don't spoil the ending for you. Excellent. Cool, thank you, man. I should have thought of this. Do you want to come on up here, Carrie? Yeah. So I'm just gonna kind of get this started. If you have a question or insight or encouragement, feel free to throw your hand up. I'll try my best to acknowledge you. Oh, there we go.
Why the brass ass?
Because it's the best job in the 911.
Go for it.
Okay. No, really, I loved that bar. It got shut down in 2017. I worked there for about a year. But it was just my favorite place to hang out in the whole city. Yeah,
Thank you.
no problem.
No. Where was it?
It used to be on Airport in Montana.
The
Mhm.
corner. And now it's like an insurance place, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Next to a daycare, yeah.
We all shed tears. We tried.
Mhm. Yes.
Can you talk a little bit about your screenwriting journey and how this particular screenplay came to you?
Well, I was a film student at EPCC, and I decided I wanted to pursue screenwriting. I ended up getting into the program at the Moody College, and I've always been like a storyteller. I've always loved to tell stories, and after the pandemic happened, I got with my buddy Eddie over there, and we got together and we congratulated each other for surviving this terrible virus that swept the whole world, and we started talking about what got us through. And one of the things that got me through was just remembering all the great times that I used to have at the Brass Asp. And so I thought, like, this would be a really, we have to do something to commemorate this place. And so me and him got to talking, and I said, let's start a screenplay. Like, let's write a screenplay. And originally we were going to write it together. But he's a very, very busy man. He's working to be a radiologist. And so I kind of had to take on the project by myself. And it took me a little longer than I thought, but I hope it was worth it. So that's just what happened.
How long was the process for you?
Well, between juggling, raising my son and getting on other sets and doing other things like that, it took me 8 months. So it took me a long time.
That's actually.
I think it's a pretty long time.
Yeah, I just,
John Hughes.
Yeah, I would say as someone who has like an elephant's graveyard, there's a few that I've been working on for like 11 and a half years, but this is really good. I'm this close to figuring it out. Yeah.
So, with the twist, what inspired the twist to make like the undercover agents?
What inspired me to throw everybody off about that? I like plot twists, and I like throwing off my audience. Like whenever I do writing, I like doing what people don't expect. Having characters appear to be one thing and then you find out there's something else. I just think that's a lot of fun. I enjoy doing that. So it was just a natural part of the way I like to write.
Yeah, I have to say, real quick, the thing that I enjoyed was hiding that twist behind that specific character. As I was reading through it the first time, it's like, oh, that's what I said. It's like, that's genuinely surprising. Which means that ideally, Gringo, the character, the cop, is really quite a good actor if he's been faking Gringo. Yeah, he studied at Juilliard. I think he did.
I know one of the common adages is write what you know, or write from your experience. So have you had experience with law enforcement and this type of thing, or tell me, I just wanted to find out how that happened.
Well, I kind of had to dramatize what really happened to the Brass and why it got shut down. So I kind of brought in FBI agents and undercover people and stuff. I've just always, during the pandemic, something that I did was I would listen to Broadcastify a lot. That was just something I would do. And at first I would just listen to the EMTs, and they would be talking about the patients they were picking up and how sick they were. And because I would just hear ambulances all the time, and I started listening to the police scanner, and so I kind of picked up on their lingo, and I heard about everything that they go through. And that's one of the reasons why I wanted my protagonist to be a first responder, because I feel like they go through so much serving their communities, and they're just not really recognized very often. So that's just something that I did. So just by listening to law enforcement and everything that they go through, I just picked up on it.
Were any of the characters based upon real customers and workers at the Brass House?
Absolutely, they were. Yes, they were. They were based on my friends. I didn't put too many personal details about them, and I made up a lot of stuff. But I did kind of imagine my buddies at that brass and like what they would say and how they would act and how they would approach a situation. Like I said, I didn't want to make it too personal and make it too much like them, but I did use their personalities as templates, so I consider them composites.
Yes, sir.
The setting, it sounds like you want it to be in El Paso. Does it have to be in El Paso?
Yes, it absolutely has to be in El Paso.
So then what makes it be in El Paso?
The whole ambiance, the vibes, you know, El Paso's home, and I really wanted to write something that takes place here. I don't want it to take place anywhere else. I really don't.
Jumping real quick. The thing, jumping back on this, where you centered your protagonist as a first responder, which is interesting. But particularly what I thought was neat is when you reveal the source of his trauma at your midpoint, you know, which is a good, cool little trick. You jump time and space a lot, along with the vast amount of characters. So it's like make it happen with 5 people. But the revelation of his trauma, that he's been essentially tortured by this woman dying. There's a big connection and all that stuff there. The question I'm bringing that up is talk a little bit about this pitch fest. Is anytime you're working on a text and you even just process of writing it, you know, on a daily basis, there's 3 things that kind of run through your mind, which is why this script, why now, and why me, right? Why am I the person to tell it? So this idea that this was birthed during the pandemic, roughly?
Kind of.
And the idea of this protagonist just coping with massive amounts of trauma. So based on that concept, why this, you know, why this script? Why now? Why you? What drove you to finish it? Even as partners dropped and you were being a mother and time passes. I'm sure there are opportunities to just shelve it and let it go. So what made you hit that final keystroke?
What made me do it? Like, what made me like finish the script? Well, I don't know what to say, but I love my little boy to death, and I finished it for him. I mean, when you have a kid and you're single, you just kind of have to push yourself to do things you wouldn't otherwise do. So I finished it for him. You know, I want him to live in a better world, and I want to tell stories that are going to help people see each other in different lights and treat each other with more respect and dignity. So it's for him, really.
Also, I want to open this up to any of our readers here today. Any particular moments that jumped out for you? Any particular things that grasped?
Yeah.
I think that man had a question.
Oh, yes.
I just was wondering about the brass asp and its myth, because I know what you're talking about. Just wondering if you still have info on the owners. I mean, do they still own other properties? I mean, do they have like memorabilia that's still, that you know is just from the, I know there was some stuff that was just from the brass asp. Just wondering in terms of like if that would be produced, and did you look into like people, you know, there's like a subculture, or at least, you know, a small group of people who I'm sure are fans of the brass asp that can bring some sort of nostalgia, maybe some of the community around to kind of bring in this story and build a little more. Just wondering if you thought about those things.
I've thought a lot about it. I haven't spoken with the owner of the brass in a very, very long time. I think the last time I saw her was at Gail and Kim's wedding, and that was in 2019, so it's been a little while. But I took so many pictures of that place before it shut down. So I did it because I just wanted to remember it. Like, it was just such a beautiful place for me. It was a place where I grew so much as a person, and I learned so much, and I have some of the best friends in my life are from that place. So I just wanted to soak it all in. So I would use those pictures to try to recreate a set in any way that I could, give it to a set designer if this does get made into a film. And yeah, anybody with any memorabilia, t-shirts, a lot of people have t-shirts from that place. So all of that would definitely come in handy.
I mean, I think that would gives it its El Paso signature, if anything, right?
I agree.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or are they hanging on it now?
I think we've kind of migrated to the 915, I guess, or the district, different little spots. We've kind of broken up a little bit, but we try to stay in touch.
I think that's adorable. Like, we broke up a little bit, but we'll still get together and get hammered when it really matters. Can always count on them.
I have a question regarding the, the drug usage through the bar. You said that you got a lot of inspiration of the dialogue from listening to police scanners. If I may reveal a little more about the script, we see Frank at the end start to breathe heavy. Later is revealed because of fentanyl being mixed in with the drug that he took. What inspired you to incorporate
The fentanyl.
Yeah.
Well, because it is an issue, I try not to make that like the center point of my screenplay, because I feel like being a border town, anybody from outside, especially when they're talking about politics, that's all they talk about, or the drugs and the cartels and all of that. And while it's there, it kind of takes a background, like a back seat to the rest of how our lives are lived. So I tried to kind of have it as there, and I also wanted to up the stakes. So I had to up the stakes for these police officers, that they need to really, especially Gringo, he needs to arrest this guy, he needs to do something about it. It's starting to get a lot heavier. And so by adding fentanyl in the mix, all of a sudden it became like a greater danger to the community. And also, it is something that does happen in El Paso, and I didn't want to ignore that, but I also didn't want to make that the focal point of the script.
Yeah, I actually want to comment on that too. There's a friend of mine, a very successful writer, we were talking, I guess about a year ago, and he was actually giving me feedback on something I wrote, and he made an interesting point that I think you accomplish here, which is where he said a lot of people, when they write, they'll write where a character has, a goal obstacle or something, and he goes, and maybe their goal is to win, to win $1 million, right? And, win the big prize fight. But if they don't, they're still alive. They can still survive, right? He was talking about his big emphasis when he works, and he works at studios all the time, and something that studio heads are constantly pushing is that it's not just a win, but you can survive if you lose. But you need the $1 million, because if you don't, then you can't pay for the surgery that's gonna, or your heart will explode or something like that. It's a terrible analogy. But I hope you guys are kind of understanding what I'm talking about. A lot of narratives lack essentially a sense of urgency, right?
Yeah, that was just a way for me to raise the stakes, make it more exciting.
Right. So yeah, exactly. So there's things at stake here where if he doesn't solve the crime, his friends will perish, essentially, right? That, as opposed to, well, not only does the bad guy get away, but there's a sense of genuine loss for him, and it's small things like that that elevate pieces, right? Which is why we're reading this one, because there are enough small things elevated to that point where the readers selected this one. Yeah.
I'm wondering why Seattle, and do you have some sort of like connection there? Because since you have a connection to Austin.
Actually, I have an answer for that. He has a line at the beginning that is not in here. He has a line at the beginning that's not in here, that he just wants to get as far away from the situation as possible. So,
I mean, Austin's kind of far too, to think about.
Well, when I first met my friend Eddie, he had come back from Seattle. So that's like a real thing. Like, he was living in Seattle, he came back to El Paso, and he was living there. And then I also lived in Seattle for well, not like in Seattle proper, but outside of Seattle. I lived up there for about a month, 2 months, something like that. And it's just, I'd never been in a place that was so different from El Paso. I mean, it was just different in every which way imaginable. And so I kind of wanted to, go like, where's the most different place from here that I can imagine? And my mind just went to Seattle. I mean, it's on the Canadian border instead of the Mexican border, and it's just, everything is just so different there.
It rains.
It rains. It actually rains in Seattle. It never rains here, and there's trees everywhere you look. I mean, I remember, taking off on the plane from El Paso, and I could just count like 32 trees or something like that. And when I landed in Seattle, I couldn't count them. There's so many. And so I just thought, like, this place is so different, and it is a special, like, it kind of has a special place in my heart for that, like, for just being just the other side of the country in my mind. So that's why Seattle.
I'm gonna jump into that. I know everyone here just got excerpts, but even from these excerpts, you get a strong sense of versatility, I guess would be the word, in the writing. I particularly genuinely love the fact that there is a gunfight while people are singing "Staying Alive" while trying to revive their near-death friend. That's to me, that's just an outstanding piece of setting of circumstance. I'm a huge Coen Brothers fan, and I was reading that and I was like, oh, that's good. Genuinely jealous of that piece. So yeah, I just like a little bit about, you're writing this kind of piece about trauma for your son, and this kind of comedic aspect. Did it just derive from the nature of your friends, or inspiration from other sources, or material? Like, I'm kind of intrigued how you ended up with this black dramedy type thing.
Well, I personally feel that comedy is the mind's way of coping with trauma and with things that are really hard to accept. And so just with the life that I've had like some really bad things happen, and my family has too. And I'm not going to get like too much into it, but the way that I've learned to cope with it is through comedy. The way my family copes with it is comedy. And we have a really dark sense of humor. And well, some people just don't get us, but we get each other. And so writing this screenplay, I really wanted it to be funny. I wanted people to laugh at it. I wanted people to see that life is, it's a little sad, it's a little funny, it's a little suspenseful, it's a little romantic, it's a little bit of everything. And so I didn't want to stick to just one genre. I didn't want to just make this a dark comedy or just, a sad tragedy or anything like that. I just wanted it to feel like the way I see life, which is that it's all of the above and more. So yeah, go ahead.
I agree the tone that Austin brought up. I'm wondering why you didn't lead with that tone that you're saying in the script in the beginning.
Oh, with the dark comedy aspect? I think I kind of did.
I guess that's maybe a subjective thing. I think Ted being shit-faced and kicked out is funny, but that's just I don't know. Yeah, I'm the kind of guy. I'm seriously. There's nothing funnier to me than watching couples fight, because I'm not in that relationship. So there's when they're like screaming at each other. That's great. I genuinely heard a guy tell his girlfriend once, and he goes, "That's why you're stupid, because you don't know how much I fucking love you." And I was like, "That's really great." Tears in his eyes and snot. That kind of stuff.
I agree, because this is working on so many levels at that moment. You're staying alive, you have that tension around, and so it's just a very nice tone of what's happening in all these stakes, and so that's what I was asking about that.
Okay.
Just very specific. It's really nice.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah. We have that you
Oh.
Oh,
So,
Drew.
I heard your pitch, and it was the full 2 minutes. Actually, she came in a little under.
Yeah, she came in at like a solid 87.
Do you have the elevator? Do you have the 2-line pitch?
I wouldn't say it's a 2-line pitch, but I did practice for a 90-second pitch, and when he told me it was going to be 2 minutes, I was like, oh, okay, I'm going to be all right. So
So you don't have an elevator pitch?
I mean, I have a 90-second pitch, if you want to hear it.
Well, no.
The log line
The
pitch,
elevator.
yeah, the elevator pitch was like good. But here, how many of you all were able to attend the pitch fest? Awesome. How many of you all want to actually hear the pitch that she gave that won the pitch fest? Because she won that too. She's having a good week, everybody.
Okay. Hello Rosemary Silva, and I've pretty much lived in El Paso my whole life. And after the August 3rd shooting and the COVID-19 pandemic, I was compelled to write a low-budget, genre-bending independent feature based out of El Paso that's centered around grieving and trauma. How many of you have lost someone that you loved and there was really nothing you could do about it? Well, I've been there, and so is my protagonist. His name is Teddy, and he's a former paramedic with post-traumatic stress disorder. And like many people with post-traumatic stress disorder that don't get therapy, he is not coping well, he's drinking way too much, he's acting out impulsively, and he's running away from his feelings. But that all changes when he comes home to his favorite dive bar in the 915, only to find that it's being staked out by local law enforcement and no one believes him. So now in order to save his beloved dive bar, Teddy is going to have to navigate a group of eccentric regulars to convince them of what's going on. He's gonna have to face down some dangerous criminals and FBI agents as well as his own personal demons. I like to call this the best dive in the 915, and at its heart, this is a story that is full of deep spiritual and philosophical truths about the meaning of our lives and why it matters, and how we as individuals through our words and actions have the power to change our community, to challenge the people that we love, and to heal and support one another. Thank you all so much. Something like that.
Cool, any other, oh yeah.
So what's next? What are you thinking? What are the next steps of your journey?
Well, I would really, really like to see this film get made in El Paso. I tried to keep this as low budget as possible, so there's no like high-speed chase, crazy stunts, or CGI effects. I tried to really, really keep down the budget. But it does have a large ensemble cast. I would really love to see the majority of those parts go to El Pasoans or people from our region. I was thinking of, submitting this screenplay to another competition, a larger competition, because it wins more money, and just seeing how that does. But like I said, I'd really, really love to see this film actually get made. It would be wonderful. And as far as sequels go, I have ideas. So I've thought about making another sequel to this and maybe having a trilogy.
Yeah, as a result, again, good week for her. As a result of the Pitch Fest, she's working with you, Hector from Sub Harmonic, to develop a proof of concept short.
I have talked to that.
Yeah, well, whatever you want, yeah. So there's something gonna come out of that, and then as a result of winning the main competition, she's gonna get a consultation with Lucky. Have you ever met Lucky?
I've never met Lucky McKee, no.
Cool guy.
I'm excited to meet him though.
Yeah, he's a cool dude. So she's gonna get a consultation with Lucky McKee, the local, director, who happens to live here locally, and he's gonna help her. Essentially, you guys are getting a one-on-one session, he's gonna give development feedback, right? So, good for you, he's a good dude. So yeah, she's got, assuming that the dominoes fall and life isn't life, she's gonna, the script itself, the feature is gonna have at least one pair of cool eyes on it in the development, and then another pair of cool eyes helping some short, so. Yeah, there's always, you always want to keep momentum moving with projects like this, so outstanding. Any other thoughts? I have to say, this is fun. We got about 5 more minutes, 10 more minutes, I think. You guys are all content here? Oh, I know we asked this at the Pitch Fest, but what are your comps for this? Do you have any?
Oh man, comparables. As somebody who was a student and under professional screenwriters, they all told me, tell your own stories. Try not to tell a Christopher Nolan story. Don't try to tell a Coen Brothers story. Try to tell your story, as best as you can and as best as you know how. So I tried really hard to just shut everything away and just focus on the story that I wanted to tell. But if I could compare it to anything, I guess I would compare it to Barfly or Cheers. There's not a lot of media out there that centers around a bar, so it's a little bit difficult to do that. So I would imagine it like Cheers, but set in El Paso and with a lot more metal. Go ahead.
Since you mentioned Barfly, does this sound Wachowski from the Ted character? Or inspiration?
The people who inspired me to write this film are people that I know. Like, all the characters are inspired by people in my life. I'm very fortunate for that. So no.
I do like the idea of Cheers meets Spinal Tap. Yes.
Go ahead.
Steve Buscemi film, Trees Lounge.
Trees Lounge.
Yeah, it's also one of
Cherry's
the-
Lounge, I gotta check that out.
Mhm.
Go ahead.
Are there any of your old patrons that you would consider to play themselves maybe?
I don't know. Gail David and Eddie, what do you think?
The part they were born to play.
He's got a shirt on, I believe.
Yeah, he's got a brass ass shirt, so.
Awesome.
Coolest dressed guy here.
Eddie, I think we're good. Alright, that being said, thank you. I want to thank our readers. Back for putting this together. Thanks, man, for all the help. Yeah, thank you all for coming so much. I appreciate it. I'm a big believer. I just remember about 2 years ago, when I went to Doug Pullen's office. For those who don't know, he runs this thing. He runs the film festival, and I was like, "You guys have been around for 15 years, and you've never ran a screenplay competition." And I don't understand. You know, like, I just didn't get it. And so he's like, "Oh, we don't know how to do it." I was like, "I don't. That's fine. I'll do it. We'll do it." So you know, we've cobbled one together. We're getting we're getting better and better every year. But I do want to say, because of like evenings like this and events like this and new people showing, it's something I'm genuinely very, very proud of, because it gets to I get to be exposed to works like this and to people like Carrie, who I think is just awesome. And you read her work and get to know her a little bit, and you guys have known her for about 20 minutes on the mic. I think we can all agree she's pretty awesome. So I just want to say thank you again to Carrie for submitting, and Drew for doing what you do, and I just think thank you all again. I can't express how much it means to me that our community is making stuff like this, and that you take the time to come out and celebrate it and encourage stuff like this, because it's just going to grow, you know. And I think, talk a little bit about El Paso. We have to take ourselves seriously as a community of artists before other people do. And I just want to say thank you again for a very serious artist, for sharing your work with us, and for the other artists who helped bring it to life today. Thank you all very much. Enjoy the rest of the festival.
Thank you all for coming out.